welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
I'm other host, Nessa. Today we have Nate again.
Hello.
Hello, Nate.
Hi. Thanks for having me back. We talk all the time on Discord, so it's cool to be back on the pod.
We enjoy talking to you. You're a lot of fun, and you're doing so many things out there that we cannot wait to get into discussion about and tell everyone about. With that said, we do want to address yet another elephant in the room. Most of the hockey community, I would imagine, already know. With the backlash that happened with the Flyers, it appears to be trickling through some of the locker rooms in the other NHL teams. And this past week, the New York Rangers were supposed to wear their warm-up jerseys and have pride tape on their sticks for their Pride Night. And a little backstory for me, I was actually really looking forward to that because last year I tried to win Mika's stick. And I was horribly outbid. This year I decided, you know what, let's just try again. And so that day I was looking on their Twitter. I was waiting for that link. So no sticks, no jerseys up for auction. They sent an email out like weeks ago saying that was going to happen. And they were asked about it sometime after the game. They were asked about it the next day. And what came out was their, statement about how they respect the LGBTQ plus community. But the whole both sides argument.
It's like they respect people, but not enough to go all the way and commit to their prior commitments.
So the thing that I noticed with the original email was, here's our Pride Night because we support the LGBTQ plus community. But then their statement after the fact, our organization respects the LGBTQ plus community. It's like the change in language, we often see respect used in a way to be like neutral to the conversation.
I saw someone tweet about how they're blaming You Can Play for this.
I saw that.
Because they didn't really take a stand as literal allies to the LGBTQ community. And, they have this whole business literally, their whole business is to create a safe space or, inform people, educate people on the LGBTQ community, whatever it is. But they decided to take that neutral stand and say everyone's belief should be respected and blah, 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 right? I can see that. I don't know if you guys saw, but they did put out a statement this morning. I threw it in the Discord, but it's more of the same thing, we're not really going to take a stance between one or the other, and it's super disappointing because you guys are supposed to be on our side. This is the moments where an organization like you who says that you stand for, our community, for you to be like, yes, this is what we're going to defend you. We are allies. I still don't know if either of the co-founders are part of the community. They're probably just making money off of us. They should be on our side telling them, hey, this is not okay. What you're doing right now is a little bit bigoted. And this is why. Please educate yourselves, But we don't see that happening, and it's just becoming incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, and I think what's so disappointing, is it's just they're pulling the rug out from fans, who are looking forward to these things, who are expecting these things, who you can tell people, they really look forward to it, and it's a moment where people feel seen and that these teams are, engaging with, but then all of a sudden it's gone with no notice, and then the statements, they feel so much, more hollow. Beforehand, it's oh, cool, they're going to do something, and afterwards it's yeah, well, we're not going to apologize for not doing it. We're going to give a stance saying that we respect. And it's whoa, those words sound a lot different, the day after or the day, it doesn't happen. And Yeah, it's disappointing because I mean, thinking about the players, like the reason it's not happening, right? The teams seem like they're willing to do it. They would have done it, but then some players are backing out, and I think that's the most disappointing part because like we watch these games and you want to cheer for these players and these teams, and it's like, whoa, who was the one who decided that the Rangers weren't going to do this now? Where I guess with Philadelphia, like the guy was he he said, yeah, this is me, but now with the Rangers, it's like, whoa, like, who was it? Was it most of the team? Was it either that's the disappointing thing that also like there's no accountability. I mean, the team it's an organization. They're gonna say, whatever statement, they could come up with, but for the players it's like dang. And kind of to at this Carnegie Initiative last weekend, Brock McGillis was one of the Trailblazer Award winners, and I think one thing that he said that was really stuck with me is like it's the locker room that these things like it's the locker room, and no matter what organization, whether it's the NHL, the teams you can play, like these players are going to be these players, and something has to change like with the way that people think, and these are adults, and it has to happen like at a younger age. Like these have to be nipped in the bud much younger, because then when you get these NHL players, like it it's still part of hockey society and hockey culture, and we know what that is, and to curb it might not just be at the NHL level, right? It might have to, well, not might, like it's the youth level, it's kids, it's it's a deeper issue, right? That these teams can't just rainbow night away homophobia, right? And that's what's so like, ugh, it's hard to when you realize it's so much bigger.
Do you remember when the whole Pride tape thing started? And I think Lexi Brown tweeted about this. Jay, you sent this to me, how it was optional for the players to use it. I kind of wish it went back to that, just so I know which player I want to be a fan of, right? Because they out themselves. They're like, I don't support this. I don't believe that you should have the rights to, love who you love. And it's like, I want to support, like, I want to know which players believe in my rights to marry a woman if I want to. It's getting a little bit harder now because, well, up until all this fiasco, both fiascos, every team was wearing the jerseys. I mean, like, every player on each team was wearing the jerseys, and you're like, well, I don't really know if you support me, but it's like, I like the jersey, and it's going to a good cause. But like, I'm pretty sure Chrissy bought, she bid for one of the Hockey is for Everyone jerseys for the Sharks, and she ended up winning the LeBanc one by accident. Like she threw her name in one, and I think it was an accident, and she won. She's like, I don't know if I want this because we've heard things about like his political, stuff, and it's like, well, what do we do? She was like, I mean, I guess I'll take it. Maybe I can sell it later. It took her a while to sell that jersey because, I'm pretty sure he's one of the players that doesn't support us.
Yeah, my feelings on Pride Nights is, I mean, I'm sure all of us have a complicated relationship with it, and I think I've kind of landed on I like them to see other people who enjoy them within our community. I think that, all of our experiences are unique. And if that gives you hope, then I don't want to take that away from you by like telling you all of like the reasons why I don't like Pride Night or why XYZ and whatever. But going back to what both of you guys were talking about with especially with Lexi Brown, she tweeted the other day that back when JT was playing, and it'd been a few years, but the rainbow tape and the hats were optional, which is pretty much putting the bar incredibly low. And so she said that she would take note of who participated and who didn't, because it would let her know who's safe and who's not. And after these incidents that's the first thing that I like I focus on, because in our lives, I know growing up I was an introverted person, so when I enter a room full of strangers, I kind of stick to the wall and I observe who's someone that I'd like to chat with, because if I use up all my energy to talk with everyone in the room, like that's not beneficial to me, that's not enjoyable to me. But over time, I feel like that's evolved where I walk into a room, I'm not sure if it's a safe space. So now I'm observing who is someone I can invest time with, because last episode I shared a story about how I pretty much lost a best friend when I came out. And it's just, it's something that I think a lot of us can relate to. And in incidents like this, it kind of, you're telling us this is a supportive environment, but when you start retracting things that should just be the bare minimum, now what are you saying?
Oh, and then this thing that came up that I saw this morning, that the Kings and the Rangers are going to have a law enforcement appreciation night, which is really interesting. I think one of the things that's really upsetting about this whole thing the Rangers decided not to do is that the ¿cómo se llama? The Stonewall riots happened right there in New York. Like, why wouldn't you be all in celebrating this when this historic event happened in your city to fight for our rights?
Yeah, and it just makes the hockey space like so hard to navigate for so many people because you never know, um, who it's not even just like respects you, but like thinks you deserve, like a good living, and it makes it where people in the community feel like they can't participate in the sport because they know like, okay, this is not even just the fringe opinion, but like entire teams are canceling these nights. So imagine like just going to your local rink and thinking like what these um, you know locker rooms are like, and stuff like that. So um, yeah, it's like an issue for hockey. Like the NHL just can't like wave a wand and do it. Like it's an issue for hockey at all levels, for kids all the way up to professionals, because otherwise it's like, why are people going to want to keep playing hockey if they know that this one sport is canceling their pride nights and hosting more, like law enforcement nights? And if the league is going to do this like whole two-side thing, I mean, obviously you don't see players like opting out of like military nights. Like there's 100%, perfect attendance for that. And if both sides is their new stance, it's like, so you can't have a pride night because both sides, but you will have a, law enforcement or military night, but there's no both sides there, when, you know, that's really hypocritical too.
Yeah, I kind of wish that these players had the guts for one of them to kneel during the national anthem during Law Enforcement Appreciation Night, because I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the mainstream media lately, but we just had another incident, really, really big, bad incident happen this past week with, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Tyree Nichols? Another police brutality thing. People have been talking about it for weeks now. The video was just released on Friday, and people are not sharing it because they're like, it is bad. You shouldn't be exposed to this video if you do not want to, because it is truly heartbreaking. And that's saying a lot considering all of the other videos that we have seen, right? I have a lot of feelings.
I think last week someone mentioned about how in the previous All-Star games, like Ovechkin was suspended for not attending. So it's very clear where the organizations and certain teams, depending on who's making these decisions, stand on specifically Pride Night. If you are deciding to, I don't want to offend all the other people, so it matters more to me to give you guys this voice and retract from the bare minimum to show our support to the LGBTQ plus community when you're not taking these stands to fully support the communities that you say you support.
No, yeah, I think that like one thing I guess I wanted to say, it feels like almost like a pendulum swinging between like progressive, and then I guess there's like a push. I guess like in trying to like watch this like play out, that like these pride jerseys, and there was a lot of progressive things coming from the league, and then like with Provorov it kind of felt like he said no, that's enough of this woke stuff, this is what hockey is. And it's like this battle between what we want hockey to be, what hockey was and is. And it's tough because it could really be like a deterrent. We're about to talk about this really cool trip that I was on, and people were honored for this, but I think you have to remember that there still is like a fight to be fought. Like this isn't over, it's not going away, it's not something that's going to come easily. And I think for hockey fans out there that like really want to see like a better hockey world, but a better world in general, like it's just always that battle to I don't know, take care of yourself while fighting the good fight, while also realizing that like we're in it and we're affected by it. We're not just like trying to push things forward. Like we are like the reasons why we want it to be pushed forward, because we're the people that are affected when these like painful things happen, when there's racism and homophobia and transphobia in the game, that so many people look at you and like, why do you like it in the first place if you know these things like are going to keep hurting you? So it's tough. And then at the same time, it's nice to have like friends like these that we have with each other. And then the event that I went to, realizing that there are people in the fight. So it's hard to keep your head up sometimes, but you have to try to hold on to the good moments, even though there's like, well, like sometimes they're few and far between. Even after a while, it seemed like it was like a good run for hockey. Like, wow, they're doing this and doing this and doing this, but then sometimes it's like a splash of cold water that like, whoa, I'm in the middle of like a really uphill fight to make hockey a more inclusive space and a more accepting space, when some people, a good amount of people, they just want to play the game and they could care less if we are a part of it or not.
That's
Well
a good
said.
segue, though, to get into your amazing trip to Toronto.
So, as folks might recall, and if you haven't, we have an episode where we introduce Nate and all the great things that he's doing down in South Texas with his nonprofit RGB Roller. And this past weekend, he was honored at the Carnegie Initiative. So,
Yay.
can you do a little intro of yourself? And I want to know from like you getting the message that you were going to be honored, and just like the whole walkthrough to like heading out to Toronto. That's where I want to start.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm Nate. If it's your first time hearing me, I was born in San Jose and moved to Texas, so that's why there's a Sharks connection here. I love the Sharks, and and now I live in Texas. We have a very interesting place with hockey. I mean, there was ice hockey in the past, inline hockey in the past, but definitely ups and downs in popularity. We lost a team, we lost an ice rink, so with some people down here that play hockey, and some people around the game that want to make hockey like a thing again. We started a nonprofit RGB Roller to do inline hockey for kids, for adults. If you played before, if you didn't play before, if you're, a parent of a kid and you want your kid doing it. And it's been a blast down here. I mean, we're at the rink a lot. We play a lot of hockey. There's a kids program that took off last year and went from, trying to get these kids onto the rink to starting a league last spring. So around this time last year, we had 30 some kids, I think maybe 32 or 33. And then the league grew to 53 in the fall, and now we're almost at 60. So really, really cool to see a kids program thriving down here again. Also, there's adult hockey, and beginner adult hockey. So it's really, really cool to have hockey in a place like ours, where it's a fight to keep hockey relevant, but also like losing an ice rink is like, it was tough. A lot of people were really devastated by that, and still to this day. But we're still playing down here, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And talking about the Carnegie Initiative, this is their second annual summit that they hosted, and last year I was in attendance as an attendee, as a guest, and it was really, really cool to hear these people. And I think it was in November, I got a call from Bryant McBride and Bernice Carnegie, who is the daughter of Herb Carnegie. So they have this Carnegie Initiative for inclusion and acceptance in hockey. It's a wonderful organization. Folks in Boston and in Toronto and all over the North America who have, been fighting this fight for longer than I've been born sometimes, to make sure that people of color and people of all, you know, races, nationalities, sexual orientation, like get more people playing this game. So they called me in November, and I knew this summit was going to happen again because, we knew it was going to be an annual thing. I did not know I was going to win an award until Bernice and Bryant called me, and they're the two, co-founders of this. Bryant has been great, and then Bernice, the daughter of Herb Carnegie, and I guess a lot of people might not know who Herb Carnegie is. This is a hockey player that was a black player, and he was really, really good, and he should have been the first black NHL player, but racism denied him that chance. He was before Willie O'Ree, who was the player who eventually was the first black player, and it's really a crazy story. He wanted to play, he was denied. There's points where his stats were like misreported, like assists and goals were given to white players because they didn't want him to be seen as excellent as he was. And despite this, he started the Future Aces Hockey School and the first registered hockey school in Canada. So despite like what he went through, he continued to have hockey school for kids, in underserved, neighborhoods. And his daughter starting this organization with Bryant, who was the first black NHL executive, it's just like, this is almost like, I don't know, diversity and inclusion royalty, these people, and the foundation that's been laid for people like myself is incredible, because it's really important to know your history and what people have tried to do to make this game better, and we know it's a fight that's lasted decades, half a century even. So they called me in November and they told me not only am I going to Toronto, but I'm getting an award for what I'm doing, the Herbert Carnegie Trailblazer Award. Now it's like, whoa, like tears in my eyes, because I don't, it doesn't feel like what I'm doing is, not that it's not special, but it's like, it's the day to day, it's the grind. We're working hard to do this, and sometimes you don't stop and look back and think like, whoa, this is really cool, because it is really cool, but it's life now, right? This is it takes up so much of my time and energy, and it means the world to me. And these kids being able to play means a lot to me, and even adults. I know that the youth is a really important focus, but like you two, if you were in this area and you said, I want to play hockey, and you haven't before, and I know Jay, you play, but like, where do you get into hockey at a, not youth age? That's something that doesn't really exist in places like us. I know in cities around the country, if there's rinks, there's like these like beginner skates and like learning to play, but here we have to create all of those things. And it was so cool to hear that I was going to get this award, to hear I was finally going to go to Canada for the first time. Like, since I was a little kid in San Jose, I wanted to go to Canada because I'm like, hockey is in Canada. Like, put these things together. I just imagine there'd be hockey all over the place, right? So, sure enough, like the trip gets closer. We go to Toronto. I'm able to take my mom, my girlfriend, her mom, to see me get this award, because I knew it'd be a really special night. And Toronto was actually pretty hockeyed out. I was really happy to see, like, there was hockey everywhere. Like, you see John Tavares like in the corner store selling, like, I don't know, vitamin water and stuff. And it was really hockey heavy in Toronto. So I was like really happy. I felt at home. I was like, whoa, like it's not obscure, right? Like in Texas and in San Jose, even hockey is like kind of low on the list of sports that people are talking about. But in Toronto, it's up high. Like, you turn on the TV in the hotel room and there was hockey on. So it was such an experience. It was so cool because I've always wanted to check out Toronto, and they treated me to this trip and flew us out and put us up in a hotel. So I was really grateful, and yeah, that's kind of the gist of who I am and what just happened and why I'm back talking with you guys.
So, what was your favorite part about being out in Toronto?
Well, so when I got there, I got to see a Leaf game. That was really cool. I think the night that I got the award, that was really special. So I don't know if you guys like saw, but it was like in the Hockey Hall of Fame and everything, and the Stanley Cup was there, and the room was full of just like I guess you'd say allies, right? It was a really like melanated room. It was kind of like, whoa, like there's so many black people here, like, um, because some people on the stage, like Kirk Brooks, he started a hockey school in 1992. That was like a black hockey school. So that's like decades, 30 years of grinding at this. So I think it was like a moment that I think people of color, people who have been trying to like push us in the right direction, um, it was really like a moment to really celebrate some of these things. And it's a room full of people that I don't want to say like are equal, but during the conferences the next day they said, what was the term, like preaching to the converted? Like we're people that understand that we need to push forward. We're people that understand, and then you have to go back to your communities and you see people that might not be on the same page, or the people that wouldn't wear a pride jersey, for example. But for that night, it felt like these are my people, our people that are fighting the good fight. Whether it's Brock fighting for LGBT like advancement, or Zarmina, who's doing Hockey Girls of Kabul in Afghanistan, and then myself in the Valley. Like we're all doing different things in different areas with different, I guess you'd say, focuses, but at the same time, we are all pulling in the same direction. And then, like, in the name of Herb Carnegie, who was one of the originators of this, that paved the way for Willie O'Ree and Anson Carter and all these black players, Wayne Simmons, like the players that are now here, look back there, and it was cool to feel a part of it, right? I felt like that night I was like, whoa, I'm in hockey. Like these are hockey people, these are executives, these are people working in the sport. So it was humbling and surreal, and I couldn't believe it. Like that night was really, really cool.
So I did see that you were going to a number of different events. Like they
Hmm,
had
hmm.
that blind hockey
Yes,
tournament.
Oh my
yes,
god, that
yes.
looks so cool.
Can you talk about, was there like an itinerary? Was it just
Hmm.
kind of here are the things and you can kind of go to whatever? Like what was kind of the plan beyond the part where you're given the award?
Yes, so yeah, the summit is incredible. Last year was cool and it got even cooler. So this year, the first day was Friday of official events. Got there Thursday, Leaf game, but that wasn't when it started. So Friday morning, they rededicated the Herb Carnegie Centennial Arena in North York. So this is the area that Herb Carnegie like grew up playing, kind of like near his childhood home. It's a City of Toronto rink that they remodeled and they rededicated it for him. So there was a CCM like skate. So there was kids on the rink, and Herb's grandson, Rain Carnegie, and his players were able to skate on the ice. That arena was so cool. I mean, there's no ice rinks down where I live anymore, so going into a rink was cool. But to see like Herb Carnegie painted and some like articles about him, and there was like a Hall of Fame and like the articles that had gone about him and his life with his daughter there. That was like such a moment. And that was Friday morning. And then some of the other Trailblazer winners, that's when I met them for the first time. There was CCM there, media there. Um, and then we went to the Mattamy Athletic Center, which was, man, actually to go back at that skate, the Toronto Six had some players there. Angela James was there. It was just like, whoa, it was incredible. So that's like how it started. And then we went to the Mattamy Athletic Center, which was the old Maple Leaf Gardens, which is like like I don't know, it's just like hockey history that weekend too. And that's where we saw the blind hockey for the first time, and that was their first day of games. But before that, there was like a mixed ability skills competition where blind players, para hockey players, sled hockey players were competing in a skills competition. So going through obstacles, passing, shooting, that was really cool. A good friend, Karina, Viegas was a part of it, and she's a sled hockey player, a para hockey player for the U.S. So it was cool to see that. And then the blind hockey game started, and it was cool because like I kind of knew what to expect because I have a someone that I'm like follow in El Paso that does it for inline hockey, and it's a puck that has like sound to it. So to see it on ice was really cool. Like they're moving super quick, and then you hear the puck, so players are able to hear. I think I was talking to one of the organizers from the Canadian Blind Hockey Association, and she was saying the players are like 10% vision or less, and the goalies are completely blind. So when they shoot the puck, like the referee will have like a whistle go off so that like they know the shot's coming in. But the speed was like really incredible. They were super good, and it was so cool to have it like showcase a part of the event. And so yeah, there is an itinerary, but I did everything. Like my family had some sightseeing to do, but I was there, taking the subway. Once I found out I could take the subway, that was really fun. So it was easy to get around, really, really walkable city and stuff. So I mean, I'm trying to not geek out so much about it, but I was like, this is so cool, like public transit. Because in Texas, I mean, you guys might be lucky, but we don't have that over here. I mean, maybe a bus, but you're able to get around without a car, without Lyft or whatever. Um, so it was the Carnegie Rink, and then the Matamay Maple Leaf Garden for that event, and then we had a little bit of time to change up before the awards ceremony on Friday night, and yeah, and it was at the Hockey Hall of Fame, so I wanted to like check it out, right? Hockey Hall of Fame, that's a trip in itself, and I knew I wouldn't have a ton of time, so I tried to like go and run over there, and I got there maybe an hour before we had like another sit down interview with Sportsnet. So I was like, okay, let me check out the Hall of Fame, and I was going kind of quick because I'm not gonna have enough time. I didn't even hit the gift shop. The award show happens, and then fast forward to the end, they're like, by the way, the Hall of Fame is open for you guys all night, and it's like catered, and I was like, oh my God. So I did have time, so I got to see it twice, which was cool, so I could kind of show my family around. And they had this like interactive section where you could shoot a puck at like a projector, and it showed goals going in. It was cool. Like I think that even if it wasn't for this trip, like the Hockey Hall of Fame was like, you got to check it out if you're ever considering. Like, I heard it's a big tourism and attraction, and I could see why. It was a big spot. Jerseys from decades, like Sidney Crosby's glove from his gold-winning goal in 2010 at the Olympics, and stuff about the Stadium Series. A good amount of Shark stuff, because I mean, every team has like a, I don't know how to say it, like a little display case with jerseys and like history. But then also they had like a mask display, and it was a really nice place. And the dinner was catered, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, I know I belong there, but I was like, how am I here? Like, what's going on? Like, it was time of my life, really. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it. Really hard to keep it together too. Like Bernice Carnegie's speech was really moving, and so her late father Herb was inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, and she also had a really good speech. And if you have a chance to watch it, like it's powerful because really her message is like keep his legacy going, and like let's keep this intergenerationally in a way, from Herb to herself to her son Rain to us also, pulling in the right direction and doing the work. And even in Boston last year, where they put up Willie O'Ree's jersey, which was also a really special moment. It just feels like the collective of people that was there. It was powerful because you feel like you're all alone in your area, all alone like in the thing that you care about, and then you get together with other people that care, and you realize that you're not alone. Because even down here in the valley, where I'm at, not everyone is pushing the whole same message like word for word. Like, yeah, grow hockey and get more people playing, but it means a lot to me to see, players of color playing, right? Where not everyone in our group in our leagues are like, yeah, Willie O'Ree, you know what I mean? Like, so for me to be in those places with people that really care, super cool, super cool. It recharges the batteries for another long year because as soon as I came back, it's hockey practice for the kids and registering kids and stuff. So it's a year of work, and now 2 years in a row, we're able to kind of have our moment together as hockey organizers or people who are doing this like diversity and inclusion work. So a really special weekend, and I had such a good time. Um, and then there was another day, right? The next day was conferences and stuff, and you could kind of ask me about that if you want, but I don't want to just ramble forever because I've been doing that for a couple of days already.
Are you tired of talking?
No, I'm not tired of talking. I just like I can't believe it. I'm like pinching myself every day. I'm like, Toronto? Like what? Like I don't know. I'm super, yeah, super grateful.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask. So what are the conferences about?
Okay. Um, Good conferences, good conferences. So yeah, it's a summit. So then on Saturday it was a full day until 4 o'clock to hear different panelists speak. Um, I wish I had the list in front of me because it was a full day and I don't want to miss things. But the first one was about um, the grassroots programs, which kind of us. Mo Hasham was up there. Brock McGillis was up there. Um, and then Kim Davis was up there. And I might mix up the panels because they were like back to back, but just kind of talking about the grassroots work and building from the bottom up, which is something that is incredibly important because you can't just focus on these elite players and who's going to make the junior team, and that's not the model, I think, and I think that's starting to be recognized that you have to get more people playing the game before you think about more even players of color playing the game at the highest level, because for every Jason Robertson or Quentin Byfield or like players of color, there's a bunch of people that aren't going to make the league, but are they even able to play it, right? Like give them a chance to play, and then it can build that way. So I think that was really important to hear because I mean where we're at with RGV Roller, if we don't have an ice rink, we can't tell these players like, yeah, this is a path to getting drafted. Like that's non-existent right now, and that's okay. Are they having fun? Is it a blast? Are kids enjoying hockey? That's what matters to me. It's almost like there's two things going on. Like, yeah, I love to watch the NHL and pro hockey and college hockey and women's national team hockey, but there's so much hockey below that, and it was cool to be there because like you don't even need ice skates. Like there's hockey on blades, there's hockey on shoes, there's hockey on sleds. So it's cool to remember that hockey is not just ice hockey, NHL games, right? There's a lot of hockey out there, so it was cool to hear that. And Kim Davis from the NHL, she's a wonderful advocate for all of this, and it's nice to have her. I guess you'd say like in our corner because you could tell she's trying to fight for these things, and she's really pushing the envelope, and it's not easy for her because for every night like with Provorov or every night that the Rangers are making headlines for the wrong way, her team is trying to push in the right direction, and you could tell she was frustrated because she's like, well, the media only writes the bad things, but of course it's hard. You can't not talk about the bad things, but it's just appreciative to know that she's trying to do good. I mean, as a black woman, I can't imagine that task that she has to try to. She got hired from other sports, and to come into hockey 5 years ago, and I think things are going in the right direction. But as Brock McGillis said that day, it can't just be from the leagues and the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion panels and departments that they make at companies. Like that's the corporate world, but there's also locker room culture, and there's also you could do 1,000 pride nights but still have people with these prejudices inside. So there's different approaches, and some of the early panels talked about those different approaches and different ways to tackle things, and there's not just one way to do it, and it was nice to hear different ways and different perspectives. So that was great. um, there was a panel on like minor hockey in Canada. There was some points it was like super Canadian, and me and my Texas self was like, okay, like talking about like hockey in Canada is crazy, like major, junior, and minor, and like the levels. Like youth hockey is called minor hockey. We're down in the States. Minor hockey is what you would think of as like the ECHL or maybe the AHL. It's like, I mean, it's professional, but adults, but it wasn't. That's kids, and then junior, of course, is junior, where like a lot of the prospects are. So they were just talking about some of the issues in junior hockey and Canadian hockey. Um, the new board chair of Hockey Canada was up there. Fraser, I can't remember his first name, and Mark Fraser is his son, and he's the DEI head for the Maple Leaf. So, talking about what Hockey Canada has to do to right that ship that has been obviously a dumpster fire in the last year, 2 years, with all the scandals coming out, and hockey's governing body in the country where hockey is king, they have issues. So, the panels are good because we have a chance to really like dig into these issues and see like where the league is trying to go and where the other organizations that aren't the league are trying to go and where the little guys are trying to play into that and the grassroots and league executives, media, all coming together to hear that was interesting and special and important. Um, let's see, there was maybe 5 or 6 panels. One of them was about Herb Carnegie's induction into the Hall of Fame and the work that went into getting him in there, which was really, really cool to hear from Bryant, who he had a lot to do with Willie O'Ree and Herb Carnegie getting, their flowers in the sport, which it seemed like for a long time the league wasn't even going to go back and highlight some of these black pioneers. So it was cool to hear that, behind the scenes story. A panel about women in hockey with um, people that work for the Kraken, Shireen Ahmed, who's a writer in Canada, Hockey and Society, Courtney Setsu, um, really good writer. I really like her stuff. Um, and then Marion, I can't remember her last name, but she runs the Little NHL, which is like Little Native Hockey League in Canada, and it's like an Indigenous hockey tournament where people come from like all over Canada. That was awesome to hear. Um, it was just being in those rooms was really special because like I love hockey and growing it and playing it, but it feels like the whole growing it part of it was really on display. And it's like, man, like these people are really doing awesome work, and it was inspiring and cool to hear what they're doing in everywhere from Canada to Virginia to Afghanistan to the work that Mo does helping Syrians and Ukrainian refugees now. Like the work that's being done in hockey, it might be kind of like behind the scenes and quiet, but that was the weekend that we were like on full display and our projects really felt important in those moments. So that was tight. Um, and yeah, to see like Canada's really interesting, with their Indigenous and First Nations history. Um, there was a lot of Indigenous people that had voices. Ted Nolan, former NHL player, one of my fellow Trailblazer winners, Stefan Friday. He was awesome. He was so great to meet him, and we clicked right away. Him and his wife Abby. They come from Timmins, Ontario, which is 8 hours north of Toronto, so it's super cold up there. Yeah, so just getting to meet people. I guess they say like networking, but there's just a lot of really cool friendships and bonds and seeing people from last year. So it's like, whoa, I'm in this place. Like these are my people. They remember me and they're supportive of me. So yeah, that was the panels and summit and I guess conference part. There was a watch party for the Leaf Habs game. So they're playing Montreal, and it was at like what was it called? Real Sports, which is a bar restaurant attached to the Scotiabank Arena. So they just kept treating us right. We got vouchers and stuff to have food and drink. So that was cool. That was Saturday. It was a blast.
Dang, what a like I'm just living vicariously through you, and I really don't know how you're like keeping it all together talking to us right now, because that sounds like
Sounds
a dream.
amazing. Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Just from the pictures you were sharing to, I mean, just getting more of the story behind it all. I mean, 1,000% you deserve it. And, it's a lot of selfless work that you're doing. And, to finally have something like that recognized, obviously, organizations like Carnegie Initiative, it's it's our people, it's everybody coming together, not taking one struggle and saying like, oh, who's struggling more, and trying
Yeah.
to like just take up that space. It's realizing that together we can lift each other up,
Yeah.
and to have that organization, and for them to be you know taking what they have and sharing the wealth, and
Hmm.
like treating you for this weekend, and just being surrounded by all this inclusion, all of this, like I would imagine that you're probably incredibly motivated, even more so than you were before, just because
Oh
you
yeah.
can see the rewards of your labor, and like it's just more fuel to the vehicle to grow the sport for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's always important to kind of hold these types of events too, because, like you were saying, when you're down in South Texas, you feel alone doing this, right? Because it's such a small group. But when you get together with other people who are doing similar things, like similar work, it's important to see that you aren't alone in this and growing the sport for the better and like diversifying it and like I don't know, man. Just hearing about it is just it's incredible. It's so cool.
Yeah, no, it was so cool. And you know, it's cool to know that what we're doing like as a team down here, because the people I work with, our coaches, our board members and stuff, um, you know, it means a lot that they've put, you know, this faith in me because I'm the youngest in a lot of our group. A lot of these people have been doing hockey for a long time, and I always like worry, you know, like being recognized. It's like, man, there's definitely a team behind me, but you know, someone up there said like, yeah, but like what you're doing is a little bit different because like you're the approach that I have and I think that we're trying to have and putting like affordability and accessibility and telling like a really anecdotal story about how I wasn't able to play that resonates with others and some people in our group were able to play and some weren't and you know I'm doing it for others. I'm doing it not just for you know notoriety and stuff. So when I get it, a part of me is like, whoa, like me like I'm the how is it me that's being recognized, but then I remember like I am just trying to carry this forward for all of us, for kids you know half my age or kids that are like 5 6 years old, for adults that have wanted to play and don't know how, and even for the guys that have played their whole lives, to make sure that we keep something going here in the valley and recognize that it's a really special place. So I'm grateful. I'm overly lucky. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's not alone. And this is a motivating weekend because I could see other people that have made it their life's work really. To see like Kirk and Mosine, who are, you know, they're not like twice my age, but they've been doing it for a while, and it's like that could be me if I continue this path forward, and I could continue to make change and get closer to like feeling like I work around hockey or in hockey is cool because that's a dream come true. So like when they interviewed us as a we had a round table, um, Umrith Gill, who works for Sportsnet, and she's an incredible reporter, and hard hitting questions. She was asking us some hard hitting questions, and then like midway through, she asked like, "Are you okay?" Because like I guess you never ask the organizers. What is it? You never ask the strong friend if they're okay, right? And I thought that was like kind of what went through my head. Like, are you okay after doing this work, after the backlash, blah blah blah. And you know, I guess it was supposed to be like, no, I'm not. It's so hard, and that was the answer that some people gave. But for me, it's like I feel like I'm exactly where I want to be, and I was like tearing up because like being there, it's like yeah, like this is awesome. Like I know that there's so much hard work to be done, but like I'm here for it. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to fight it. I've been doing this my whole life, right? Trying to get people to play hockey, and um, I guess recently in the past like 5 10 years, realizing that there's issues and racism when you kind of grow into like understanding these things, and that's the point where a lot of people will be like, no, I'm good, but I still want to push forward and continue to do this. I love hockey and I see that other people do too. It's not just me. You don't need to be like I've been saying recently, like you don't need like your brain wired in a different way to like the sport. It can grow in popularity in the US, in North America and around the world. But we started this pod talking about some negative issues. Like we have to really like band together and find out how to fight them. Um, to realize we are sharing these rinks with people who might be shitheads, you know, for lack of a better word. Like there's naysayers, there's it's not just like haters, but like truly bigoted people, or people that are indifferent, or people that say it's getting too woke and why are we doing this so much? And you know, those people exist, you know, where you're at, where I'm at. Um, so you gotta hold on to the good days and the good moments, and um, after coming back, I feel like I want to hold the door open for other people to come in with me. When I met Renee Hess in Boston last year, she said, we're not in the business of closing the door behind us, like when we're recognized or when light is shining on us or funds are coming in or the league says they want to help. It's like, I want this to be a movement that comes on for a long time. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kim Davis very much, but she's been saying a lot like this is a movement, not a moment. And that's like such a cool like thing to hold because it's like I don't want this to be like I had this weekend in Toronto, it was fun, I had good food, I saw a Leaf game, like peace out. Like no, it's like it is motivating for the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, however many you know, I want to keep doing this and doing this and doing this and building it and being sustainable with it. That was one of the conference's like panel titles is creating sustainability and capacity in this because it's hard to keep going, right? And I'm sure that you two especially know that it can be so hard. So I always try to hold on to the good moments and find joy in the sport when we can because if you focus on only the bad things then it's going to be very easy to get burnt out or just say like yeah I'm good like there's a basketball game, there's soccer, there's this, there's that. So yeah, it feels good. It feels good. I'm still like riding a high after all of this, and I was happy to come talk to you guys about it because you guys are such big supporters of me, and you guys are so kind to me, and you guys are also people that are not just allies, but like we're walking like arm in arm in this thing, and that we're all in this together, and it's really special.
You're so cute. I wanted to comment on how you're saying you want to when you were talking about Renee and how you guys are in the business of keeping the door open because you would hope that when someone starts something that is the motivation and we've seen in the past where folks might start out that way and at a certain point it's like you see the shift and it's like they pretty much forgotten where they've come from, forgotten like who they are, and makes me think of certain organizations that we talked about earlier, but I want to end on a high note, so but I did want to ask one last question. Can you please walk us through the award ceremony? Because I did see a video of Brock getting his award, and I mean, I have a little bit of stage fright with getting so much attention, but like, can you walk us through when you received your award?
Yeah, and Brock had a really good angle on the video that he got. He got like the above view. That was cool. So yeah, getting the award. So there's 7 of us. I was probably like third or fourth, and I was like, kind of nervous. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go up there. Am I gonna like cry? And we didn't have to speak, which I think was kind of.
Oh
I'm
my
glad.
gosh.
I would not. Like,
Yeah.
I would have cheered up. I would have definitely cheered up. Like I'm a soft guy a lot of times. Like I get super emotional. Like I would not be able to. But so they call me and they show our 30-second sizzle reel. So it was like a 5, 6, 7 minute video, really cool. So they show like the 30-second version of it. 30-minute would be that's too much. No,
They like give him his award already.
I know. Like yeah. Go back to Texas.
We're
Like, we've
tired
seen her
of
enough.
him. Get
Go
off
home.
the stage.
Yeah. So 30 seconds, and then it ends, and they call us, and yeah, I was nervous, but I tried to like chipper it out. Like I kind of like ran up there and like was like super happy. Like yeah, no, I was really happy. It was the most attention I've ever had on me. That was too much. Like I feel like the only thing that I was thinking that can compare is like what high school graduation. But like when they call your name, it's just like oh my god, this is the 400th person. But everyone was just like congratulations, and it was cool. And people were shaking my hand and got like this really nice glass like award. I should have brought it, but it yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I couldn't believe it. And then that whole night, everyone's shaking your hand. They know who you are, and I don't know who they are. And I was like, "What in the world?" In the Hockey Hall of Fame, like I was important that night. So yeah, it was super special, super special. My mom and my family, my girlfriend there. That was really sweet. Um, Brian Burke was sitting right behind us from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Kim Davis was in front of us. I mean, the guy who worked for the Florida Panthers. It was just like it was crazy, like to see that. Super super special. And then the next day, there's my poster was like all big style. Like they printed out like a not a life size, but like a pretty big thing with like a quote that I had said. Um, yeah, that can't happen again. I can't let my head get too big. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, no way. Um, I would be. It would be cool though if next year I could speak on a panel. I would love to talk about like warm weather hockey and why hockey in places like Texas, Florida, Arizona, California. There's so much value in it. You know, coming from San Jose to Texas, it's not like I'm this like Canadian or Minnesota guy that's like, yeah, back where I'm from, hockey's everywhere. Like in San Jose to get into hockey at East Ridge Mall, that's just like that's cool. That's the Sharks like putting their footprint on the Bay Area, even though it's not perfect and there's still people that don't know about it. Like they went out of their way and you know the Stars, you know, do the same in the Dallas area and now they're moving into Mexico. So are the Kings and so are the Ducks. So yeah, the sport's growing and hockey under the sun and in roller rinks and even ice rinks in these hot places, it's worth investing in and worth supporting and growing because you're building fans every day. And now our kids, like, they didn't know anything about hockey this time last year or, like, you know, December of 2021. But now, this past, like, winter break, kids were going up to see the Stars play and taking pictures with the mascot. And it's cool. In our little neck of the woods, we're growing hockey. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. I'm just a part of it. I'm just carrying the torch. And maybe I'm a little more talkative and louder and you know hey let's do it about it, but sometimes you need that personality to grow the game because you know those whole get the pucks in deep and you know put your head down and work harder, like that's not always it. Sometimes you need to really do it with a really big smile and really welcoming arms to bring everyone into the game. So that's what we're trying to do. And yeah, I love it. I love it.
Somehow the Pucks in Deep reference makes it to almost every single one of our interview episodes.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's like the super stereotypical hockey. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's like they give these hockey players like media training cards, and there's like 15 phrases they're allowed to say over the course of their career, and it's like make the defense turn around, get the pucks in deep, move the puck, fill the gaps, gap control. Like it's like they say the same thing. It's like canned interviews. But yeah, no, it was cool. It was really cool. So you guys should like collect some like vacation time. We could like get together next year and try to do it because
Yes.
I'm trying to get more and more people out there because I know that there's a lot of people who are doing this work and I'm one of many and one that got invited here and we were in Boston last year, Toronto. It might be Toronto again. I'm trying to get some people from our board and some people from across the border in Mexico that are doing some good work out there. I would love to you know show that like Nate is here, but there's a lot of people in this area in South Texas and California, like y'all, and some really really great people, and it would be cool just to make a big snowball of hockey inclusion, right? Because I think that is the way to change this game until it's just like a critical mass of people that like just won't be denied because like we're not going anywhere. You can't like uncan this movement of people making hockey a better place. You can't put it away. You can't go back in time. Like we're here to stay. There's black executives, there's black GMs, there's black coaches, there's black players, there's you know gay players, and hopefully like Brock says, more people can feel more comfortable because I think that's the one group, you know, the LGBTQ plus community plus like disabled communities. Like those are people that always get left behind and left behind. And well, we already have a South Asian night. We already have a Black night. Like what else? Like no, there's so many more groups that have been marginalized and racialized and excluded from hockey and excluded from sport and excluded from society in a lot of ways. So we can't stop you know, a really intersectional analysis of this because otherwise you're going to leave behind people and we're going to have groups almost infighting and trying to fight for this like inclusion space. Like, oh, there's only so much inclusion nights, there's only so much diversity dollars. We have to fight for them amongst each other. Or if all of these analysis and then organizations are intersectional, then we're kicking down the doors on all of these issues at once. And I think that's super important because we can't like do this fight like one by one, because I think that's why maybe those people that say it's getting too woke, because they're like, oh my god, we just had that Willie O'Ree, oh my god, like it just feels like they are overwhelmed by our movements, so it has to be like one movement at once, because it's like you can't leave out anybody else, because that's just not the way that we need to operate. Like everyone has to be included. It's all of us or like none of us, because like what the heck is somebody that's fighting for more people of color in the league, but then they don't care about these pride nights? Like that can't exist. You have to care about all of it, about, you know, women's hockey getting more dollars, about these leagues holding their promises, and all of it, all of it, all of it. So I think that's something that, if we're wrapping up soon, I want to leave with, like, be intersectional in your analysis, be intersectional in your caring, because otherwise we're doing a disservice to the people that really deserve this movement.
And I think I want to end on that note, because I have you did it perfectly. I have no
No notes.
I don't feel like I can do it any better right now. But thank you so much, Nate, for coming back on the pod.
Yes.
We love you. We know
I love you guys too.
We support you so much. We're big super fans over here. Go Nate! Every time some news about you comes up.
Yeah, no, and I can't wait till I get back out to the Bay Area, because we gotta meet these minds together, and enjoy each other's company, because you guys are some of the best people I've met in hockey, because sometimes it's like a flash in the pan type of thing. Oh, we met, but it's cool that we've been able to keep this friendship, and the space you've created on Discord is really cool. I know it's a small group, but it's mighty, and we're having fun, and it's cool to have a group of people to talk about the games with, and maybe we could keep doing this every so often. Whenever you guys need somebody, I'm always happy to talk to you guys, because you're a lot of fun.
Thanks. I don't even try. No, I'm just kidding.
No, just be all. Yeah, you don't have to try. It's awesome.
And with that, thank you so much for coming on, and we hope everyone had a great time listening to Nate's story and his adventure to
And the progress
Carnegie
hockey is
Initiative.
making.
Exactly.
It's making progress. It's happening. It is.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.